Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to calculate your monthly, yearly, could be daily, could even be hourly, it doesn't really matter. The formula is essentially the same, you just have to tweak a few values. Mortgage payments, how much you have to essentially pay, per year or per month. Those are the two figures that you're probably most interested in. So this is on the assumption that you know the principal amount, and that's basically the amount of money that you are borrowing. And I've got a separate video covering principal versus interest, so feel free to check that out. You need the interest rate, and you also need the loan term. So this is the duration. You will need to convert this into months or years, depending on what sort of payment you are trying to get out. If you're trying to figure out how much it costs per year, then this obviously needs to be in years. If you're trying to calculate it based on monthly payment, then this needs to be in months. If you got the year amount, you just times by 12, but I'll be covering that. First of all, let me just write the formula for you, and then we'll actually run through an example. So let me scroll down a bit, and the formula is M/Y, so it's basically monthly or yearly. And actually, you know what? I'm just gonna say payment. That's what I'm gonna say. Payment equals P, which is principal, dot R, which is the interest rate, and it needs to be a decimal. Again, I'll show you how to convert that as well. 1 plus R, again, the interest rate of the decimal, to the power of N. N is the duration, the duration of the loan term. And again, this has to be either in months if you want to figure out the monthly payments, or in years if you want the yearly payment. You could go even further down than that and do it into weeks, days, hours, doesn't really matter. Okay, so now below it you just put 1 plus R to the power of N again, minus 1. Okay, so let me just have a little legend right here, so you know actually what all of this means. Legend. I wouldn't mind watching I Am Legend again, one of my favorite movies of all time. Okay, so P is equal to principal, R is equal to interest rate, and N is the loan term. Okay, so let's run through an example. Let me just go to the web browser, and on here, if you just Google mortgage monthly calculator, you get this little handy box which does everything that we're about to do behind the scenes. So you might be wondering, why would you want to know this or know what's in the video if you've got this? Really, it's just so you can figure out how it's actually working, and then you can manipulate if you want your months, days, years, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so we'll stick to this basic example of £100,000, 3.92%, and a mortgage period of 25 years. So they get a total cost of £157,000 and £29, and £523 monthly payments. Okay, so let's put these figures into our spreadsheet. So it is. And what I'll say is, what was first? So P, the principal, equals £100,000. It doesn't actually matter whether it's pounds or dollars. That's pretty much irrelevant. It is irrelevant in terms of the calculation, as long as you're consistent in there. Okay, so the interest rate was 3.92%, but we need to convert this to a decimal. So to do that, you just divide by 100, which equals 0.392. Now, I feel messed it up. So 0.0392. You might be asking, can you get rid of the decimal points? I round it to 2 decimal points, 3, 4 decimal points. Technically you can, but you won't get as accurate of a calculation as you can imagine. Plus, it obviously won't be representative, and the bank's definitely not going to do this. Definitely not going to round down or truncate or anything like that. So it's best if we leave all of it in there. So N, which is the loan term, is 25 years or the monthly amount is 25 times by 12, which is 300 months. So to go from there, so we'd basically do 25 divided by 12, and that's how we get the 300 months. And you could times that by 365 to get days. Obviously that's not factoring in leap years, so you might have to add them in if you want a full accurate calculation. If you're going further, times that by 24 for hours, times that by 64 minutes, etc, etc. But if you want to go that far, really recommend using something like a spreadsheet. You'll make things a lot easier. Okay, so now that we got these figures, let's just plop them in. So payment equals the principal, which is 100,000. So this dot is just the dot product, so it's basically just multiplying it. So I'll put, actually I'm going to put times there. Times, and now the rate of interest, this is an interesting one. You put 0.0392, but this interest rate, if we go back, I'm sure you already know this. This interest rate is, it doesn't actually state it here, but it is per year. That's your, per annum interest rate. If you see per annum, it means per year. Actually, where does the word annum come from? Let's have a quick look. If you just Google a word and an etymology. My internet doesn't seem to want to work. Don't know what's wrong with my internet. Figure about that a second. So I'll have a look later and I might create a separate video. But it is per year. So if you want the monthly payments, you need to divide this by 12. And now in bracket is 1 plus 0.0392, again divided by 12. If you want it per year, then you get rid of the 12. If you want it, per days, then you divide it by 12, and then divide that by 30 as well. Obviously, that's not factoring in different months with different amount of days, but that's how you would do it. To the power of n, all of this over 1 plus 0.0392 over 12 to the power, sorry, I made a little mistake. It's not a mistake. And n is basically this right here, 300. So 300, or 25 if you wanted it in years. And now minus 1. Okay, so we can basically start putting that into a calculator. So if we put that into a calculator, so let's just do this part here into a calculator first. So what we're going to say is 100,000 times by 0.0392, 0.0392, I'm just typing it, it's going to be a lot faster, divided by 12, and close bracket. Yeah, we can get rid of that one. That's the one we want. Yes. Okay. So that's 300. So we will round this one up, but obviously if we want the most accurate calculation, then there's no rounding. But this is 0.6 recurring, hence why there's a 7 there. 326.67. So we'll put that 326.67. So it's 300. Do 326.67 multiplied by, and let's do the internal calculation now. Okay, so with the internal calculation, it's 1 plus, again, it's still the same thing. I don't know why you had a lot of 100,000 there or something. Clearly didn't, wipe everything. So it's 1 plus 0.0392 0.0392 divided by 12. 0.0032, we'll round it 67. 0.003267. 0.003267 to the power of 300. 300, there we go. Pretty simple stuff. Okie dokie, and now we just need to do the same thing at the bottom as well. And we already know the calculation for this, so it's 0.003267 to the power of 300 minus 1. And now we can basically just put this into a calculator and fully work this out. So just do this. We got the equals there. So now we're gonna come into something momentous. So it is, I'll just snap it. That didn't really help too much. So 326. Let me delete this. So we'll put brackets in for the top part. You know what? I'll do it in Google. I'll find the calculation will probably be a bit easier to put in Google. Yes, okay, there we go. It is working. Okay, and it was 326.67. 326.67 times by, put that in brackets, and it was, what was it? 0.003267, 0.003267 to the power of 300. That's the top part, divided by the bottom part now. And the bottom part was, we go here, 0.003267 to the power of 300 plus 1. And we need brackets around all of this as well. I believe we're all good. Okay, so we have a little, clearly a little mistake here. Make sure everything's all good. That's coming up as 0. That's interesting. Okay, probably, I'm gonna guess it's something really simple. Some easy mistake has been made. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. Make sure we've got all the figures correct the way they should be. Principal times by the interest rate. Let me go back onto Google. I'll look at the calculations. I mean, that looks alright, to be fair. Ooh, I think I know the mistake that I made. Simple error to make. Yes, I forgot to, and I basically did that as well. So I did copy and paste it, so that's good. I forgot to do 1 plus here. Here we go. So this is what is coming up as the monthly payment, and again, it is a bit different to that one. So let me make sure the calculation, that should be -1. There's that. There we go. So as you can see, that just shows you how easy it is to make a simple mistake. You know, that's just a rough, calculation, but this is a more accurate calculation. So if we get that, £523.04, £523.04. So it's £523 and was it 40 pence? I believe it's 40 pence, wasn't it? Was it 4 pence? And 40 pence. And 40 pence. And if you've just got this figure, you can just times this by 12 to get years. So if we times it by 12, we get years. If we times by 25, we'll get the full mortgage term, and we'll see how much it's actually going to cost us. So what we'll do, we'll just put this rounded figure in. That should be all right. After me saying, if you want precision, use the non-rounded one. 523.40, 0.4, doesn't matter. Times by 12, so that's yearly. So per year, you'll be paying £6,280 and 80 pence times by 25, because 157. So this equals, what was it again? £157,000 and 20 pence. £157,000 and let me just and 20 pence. So if we compare this to what Google gave us, not £20. But again, there's a £9. You might think there's a £9 difference. That's fine. It will be because we did a few rounding stuff. So like that rounding was made a difference of a few quid, and it could be even more severe depending on what type of rounding you do. We did rounding on here, and we did rounding on these two figures as well. So that's just something to bear in mind, that the rounding will affect it. So that's basically how you calculate your monthly mortgage payments or your yearly mortgage payments. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message. I recommend doing this something like this, generally speaking, in a spreadsheet, because you can really map it out over different months. You could even use some sort of formula to split it from interest to principal. I might do a video on that as well. And yeah, if you have questions, there's a link in the description to the Discord group, to the finance channel, so feel free to post there, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.